Oster Festival. Dark Magic.
Walking, walk, walk, walk. Walking, walk, walk, walk. Night walk, night, night, night. Night walk, night, night, night. Night walk, night wander, night wanderers. It makes me wonder, who can wander, who can be in the night, undisturbed, unharassed? Who owns the night? Who owns the privilege of not being scared of the dark? Do women walk? Do women fear darkness? Walk the earth, they say, walk the earth to be free. To walk the earth is to be connected to the land, but the land is taken. It's taken. Virginia Woolf said, as a woman, I have no country. As a woman, I want no country. I say, let's reject borders altogether. Let's look to the witch to show us flight as a revolt against the nation state, against violent border regimes. Show us the flight witch. Show us where to go to reject border regimes, confinements, and tyranny, the tyranny of forced femininity. Let me tell you why it's forced, why femininity in its hegemonic form is confinement, is stillness, is imprisonment. Look at Snow White, the fairy tale feminine icon. She is still, she is so still that she is unconscious. Dead still, she waits for the man to come and rescue her with an uninvited kiss. Consent is absent. Virginia Woolf's novel, A Room of One's Own, emphasizes the importance of having a space undisturbed and free from the reproductive functions of femininity. To this, Iranian scholar Farzaneh Milani adds, freedom is also being able to leave the room. If you cannot leave the room, it is a prison. It is a house arrest. The imperative to stay inside is house arrest. The imperative to stand still is house arrest. The imperative to be quiet is house arrest. The imperative to be afraid of the road, to be afraid of the dark is house arrest. Farzaneh Milani builds upon Virginia Woolf's notions of space and movement in her own analysis about Iranian women writers, but the question of feminine mobility applies to women worldwide, where ideals of femininity and beauty are aligned with immobility, inaction, staying quiet and not taking up space. The erotics of passivity. It is through the rejection of passivity, the embrace of darkness, the revolt against life without self-determination that we go on a journey with the witches. We follow in their footsteps, resurrect their voices, their stories, and reclaim space, heal the pain, and break the boundaries of linear time that makes us believe that we always go forward, 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 ignoring the circularity of time, the roundness of everything alive. Where do witches go when they fly? Death is not the end. Death is not the end. Death is not the end. Just remember, death is not the end. Who are the dead? Who is seen as dead while alive? The living dead, the ones whose lives, ending at the bottom of the sea, are not seen as valuable lives, whose death is seen as regrettable, whose lives are lamentable lives. Who are we allowed to mourn? In the words of Rosie Braidotti in her book The Posthuman, the non- and posthuman state not being seen seen as a full human can be viewed as a state of death or potential death if one's life is not deemed valuable as a real human. Like if you are a property owner, if you hold a European passport and seen as a citizen. If you are none of those things, then your life becomes vulnerable to violence, death, and extinction. The post-human condition is beyond life or somewhere between life and death. But can death as something that some have to live with and exist with be incorporated into life as an omnipresent condition? A yearning for a crossing beyond the boundaries of the given life? If we try to understand the non and post-human as a state of non-being, a state of invisibility, how can we understand death as liberation? Brocke sees death as the ultimate transposition, a condition of possibility. In Iranian writer Shahnoush Parsipour's novel Women Without Men, the character Munes is not allowed to leave the house by her brother. She goes to the rooftop of the house and throws herself to the street, dying in the fall. But in this modern fairy tale, this feminist 1001 Nights tale, it's Parsipour who decides what happens. She queers death by resurrecting Munes from the dead, letting her rise and walk the streets, letting her wander and discover secrets about feminine sexuality by reading books. But even in a magical realist novel, reality bites back. When Munes returns home after a month of wandering the streets, her brother this time kills her by stabbing her in the heart with a small fruit knife. But Parsipour once again queers death. Munes resurrects once more, this time with supernatural powers and cat-like qualities. Death is not the end, Parsipour seems to tell us. She brings back the dead and lets them live among us, lets them take back the power to walk the streets, not to fear the darkness. Death is not the end.
Et parfois la fleur est un couteau is a performance that I composed and wrote to honor the muses, especially the muses who are women of color across the world who contributed to making art history, because they were the bodies of art history, and who were abused or disrespected or just unnamed. And I wanted to start the show with Duhura, who was the child bride of painter Gauguin. And he gave her syphilis while she gave him a whole career, and her body was unconsensually put up on walls in a very sexualized way. And people appreciate that as art. And I wanted to start the show, this is a condensed version, I wanted to start the show with this idea that she finally got a win, and she got to speak, and when she spoke, she said, "I killed the bastard."
Sway, sway, your filthy brush across my hips, stroke them with just but the tip, brown and golden cremated. Pay me from the farmer's wife. Colonial boats left her child hungry. She saw no other end in sight. Regrets the daily. Fuck the Tower of Babel. You never hear a word I say. broke me, just like one of your still lives. Immobile fruit, I'm not quite ripe. You have to dry your eyes in strife. The truth of what I'm feeling. Fuck the child, baby. You never hear what I say. No one can hear my fading. I heard a knife in your days. And they will go, oh, oh, and they will go, oh, oh, I could stand upon your skin. Draw the truth from bleeding. But when it's me, it's nobody. Fill your pockets, I made them good. I made them good.
Un meurtre, au moins on en dirait un. Il y en aura plusieurs. La scène se compose toujours ainsi. Une arme, parfois invisible, d'autres fois plus évidente. Ma main, parfois invisible, d'autres fois plus évidente. Du sang, une leçon. Et là, ce n'est pas un meurtre. C'est l'histoire qui le dit. Je dis donc, autodéfense. Le sang ici, c'est celui d'un pédophile syphilitique qui s'est engrossé sur le corps nu d'une adolescente. Un corps nu que l'on retrouve accroché, pendu sur les murs très blancs de Parche, très lourd en Occident. Normal qu'elle se défende, qu'elle reprenne l'histoire en main. Elle aussi, elle sait peindre, elle avec la lame de son couteau. Et moi ? Je ne suis pas elle. Et elle n'est pas moi. Nous sommes l'objet d'une rencontre, d'une fusion entre deux esprits et un corps. Âme passagère en communion avec son esprit, je rends service à ce corps. Je le dote de force, de connaissance et de colère. Si elle est la main, je suis le biceps. Si elle est la gifle, je suis la vitesse à laquelle la main s'acharne contre la joue. Je la pousse quand elle demande à plonger. Des siècles que j'opère ainsi, en spectre dématérialisé, qui se rematérialise pour exercer le devoir de mémoire. Ma première mission fut ma genèse. Sur la côte d'or, je suis née fille. Sur ces sables, je renais chimère. Au seuil de la porte de non-retour, les pieds enchaînés, je revois l'eau pour la première fois depuis des semaines ou des mois. L'écume d'Achaba est bavarde, frénétique. Elle rit, poussant tant de cris que de sanglots, et me supplie de ne pas monter sur ce bateau. La messagère d'Agoué insiste. J'ai un autre rôle à jouer dans l'histoire de la Terre. Je suis tenue de descendre et rejoindre son panthéon. Je dis adieu à mon premier corps, le corps d'Azubouike, celui dans lequel je suis née. Je ne l'habite plus. J'habiterai désormais les corps qui servent à la Mabuata.
La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. La sienne, la baleine, j'attends tombé dans la mer. truth of where you lay. Woke up as a bruise, parts of me evenly split to squares. What a clumsy move. In a box found my living highway paid. In a box found my living highway paid.
La déchirure fut longue, une traversée qui laisse ses cicatrices. Je la préserve, je la nourris, et de cendres et d'écume je renais.
Red sands, highway. Oh, it's pushed out early. The first rain days, the greatest bait. Where shall I go on such a day? What kind of stairs shall I cause? In whose mind shall I summon the creation ways? Do you want me? Do you want me? Never yet decided to relax. Never be free, you'll never be free. Saddle chains wedge your fragile neck right to my graves. Right to my graves, right from your legs. Right to my graves, right to my graves, to my graves, right from your legs. Right to my graves, right to my graves, right to my graves. Shabbos restless keep me away. A foaming ship's glad fade day. I draw my charms from facts astray. The winds you fight, you're thrown away. And I converse with the sacred hungers. Keep my word as a sacred hunter. I converse with the sacred hungers. Keep my word as a sacred hunter. Do you want me? Do you want me? I know we have to say it to your lips. Never be free, you'll never be free. Saddle chains wedge your fragile leg right to my graves. Right to my graves, right from your legs. Right to my graves, right to my graves, right to my graves, right from your legs. Right from your legs, right from your legs. To my graves, right to my graves.
I become a memory that becomes a whisper. I whisper truth and I become hope. Hope as a precursor to rebellion. Rebellion as my first act of faith. Rebellion as my first act of faith. Rebellion as my first act of faith. So at this point, Aaiún has been many women, many muses, and she becomes the lover of Charles Baudelaire, who's written one of the biggest works of poetry in French literature. And everyone refuses to acknowledge that she's black, and she's starting to get annoyed. And so she notices that they keep dismissing her and her identity and her impact on his art. They prop me up at their table like a like a black porcelain doll. An awkward show pony to watch, sit and eat at your table. Movement restrained by a harness, corporeal form, always the entertainer. To be culled, collected, consumed. Je n'ai pas choisi ce corps pour en venir à ce qu'il soit ligoté, dompté, monté. The ocean can cradle, or she can swallow you whole. Wait in the land could carry you, the sea will see you through. Wait in the rain. My limbs will comfort me, mommy and me, my legs and I. A case of death is a heartbreak. I face your eyes in the monster. A case of death is a heartbreak, a heartbreak. I face your eyes in the monsters. Let's give a glow, let's give a glare, let's give a glare the monsters. Let's give a glow, let's give a glare, let's give a glare the monsters. Aaiún désespère souvent. Sa lutte semble parfois insurmontable. Elle se ressource en rendant visite à des âmes qui la connaissent, mais peinent à la reconnaître. Auprès des enfants de l'escale transatlantique, elle retrouve des bribes de sa première vie. Des regards, des réflexes comme des tristesses, des rires. La promesse qu'elle tient lui permet de soulager les passagers de ses bateaux. Elle veillera à leur descendance. La bercera comme elle les a bercés.
When you ask what is post-human, you also need to ask what is human. One way to answer that is, who can feel pain? Whose pain can we feel? Those whose pain we can empathize with, those are the ones we mark as human. Let me tell you a horror story about pain and colonialism. One of the most cruel and horrifying examples of how modern medicine, slavery, and gendered violence intersect stems from the so-called father of modern gynecology, U.S. physician and slave owner J. Marion Sims, who conducted numerous experiments on enslaved black women between 1845 and 1849. As Elise Thorburn mentions, Sims' career was built upon the repair of vesicovaginal fistulas, and his techniques were developed over 4 years of experimentation in which he performed dozens of unanesthetized surgeries on 3 enslaved black women, Anarcha, Betsy, and Lucy, and then the many others whose names are lost to history. These women were properties of Sims, and he conducted his experiments not only for the cause of medical enhancement, but for capital. Enslaved women were not only seen as property themselves, but they had the ability to reproduce more property for slave owners as well. Childbirth is one of the main causes of vesicovaginal fistulas. Sims focused his efforts on finding a cure for this condition and conducted numerous non-consented experiments on enslaved women, exposing them to pain and suffering. Not until he had developed a successful method did he start curing white middle-class women for the same condition, this time using pain relief that hadn't been afforded his black victims. Medical experiments conducted on enslaved and colonized people were rationalized by the so-called scientific idea of black people not being able to feel pain, at least not as much as white people. Writer Zakiya Iman Jackson dissects these ideas from Western modernity and the Enlightenment, where blackness was aligned with animality in her recent work, Becoming Human, Matter and Meaning in an Anti-Black World. Today, these ideas, although scientifically obsolete, still permeate modern healthcare, where darker skin makes you less likely to receive proper pain relief by healthcare professionals. People originating in the Middle East are often accused of displaying ethnic pain. In some occasions, this distrust becomes a matter of life or death. The statue of J. Marion Sims was removed from Central Park, where it was across from the New York Academy of Medicine in 2018.
Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém. Ave Maria, cheia de graça, o Senhor é convosco. Bendita sois vós entre as mulheres, bendito é o fruto do vosso ventre, Jesus. Santa Maria, Mãe de Deus, rogai por nós, pecadores, agora e na hora da nossa morte. Amém.
In the Persian language, to strangulate and to silence someone are represented by the same words, khafe kardan. It is ironic because one of the first known feminist voices in Iranian history in modern times, Tahireh Qurratol'Ain, was literally strangulated by unknown men in a young age. Women's voices were seen as erotic, their voice cords literally as sexual organs. There were attempts to eradicate them from the public space. Quietness as honorable. To use the voice is to take up space, to occupy a place in the world that bears witness to your existence, to be able to be on the road, on the dirt road rather than under it. Milani offers an analysis of Iranian women writers and the question of mobility and space expanding to global ideals of beauty. Take, for instance, the Chinese costume of foot binding as a marker of beauty or the Barbie doll's lack of mobility. Milani illustrates the dichotomies of confinement versus mobility as divided according to gender binaries. As women's bodies were and are contested territories and emblems of the nation, they were seen as pollutants of the public space, as bodies that would destabilize men's dominance by their utter presence. Both religious authorities and proponents of the modern utilize women's bodies as signposts on which they could display their honor, nationalism, or their modernity and progression. The question of mobility and women is also a question of women as seen belonging to the private domain while men occupied the public. The entrance to the home or the door through which women could exit the house thus becomes a frontier that divides the world in half across a hierarchical gender gap. The powerful that occupies the streets and the roads, and the powerless who cannot get out. The witch does not care about this division. Of course, I'm not talking about the historical victims of the witch hunts, a truly brutal massacre, a genocide, still not fully acknowledged by history as the state terrorism that they were. I'm talking about the iconic figure of the witch, the one we reclaim at night when we allow ourselves to dream about a different world. That witch, the iconic one, flies off to distant places. In fact, she takes one of the most iconic pieces of domestic equipment, the broom, which is made for women to stay in the house and clean the room of confinement, and uses it in a completely different way than intended. The witch queers the broom. She uses it to get out of the house, to fly. Activities that are completely opposite of idealized feminine immobility as seen in fairy tales. On the contrary, the witch flies off to distant places, other countries, crossing borders without permission from the border patrol, and goes off to an orgy with her witch friends. The witch, thus, is also the enemy of the nation state with its borders and policies of population control. A flying, old, non-heterosexual woman with questionable femininity who enjoys herself, has no respect for the mandatory social contract to work, to create nuclear families and strive for personal wealth. By being deliberately anti-nuclear family, anti-nation, and anti-border, by creating sociality, affinity, and kinship on her own terms, by socializing with humans and other than humans, however she chooses, the witch undermines each and every one of the rules that are observed by nation states. Hence, the witch's existence as I see it is nomadic. She is a political subject, a fiction that speculates on the destruction of border regimes, of racist and orientalist policies that play women and queers of the global south as a threat against whiteness and European supremacy. The witch embodies the alienation of many peoples through centuries, people who have been excluded from the notion of humanness. The witch is a figure whom we must politicize if we want to advance in our understanding of her. The witch represents multiple intersections of identity and power and embodies different experiences of oppression. Now, the witch is back from the dead, back with a vengeance.
Ich lese von jüngsten Theorien, die Körper nicht nur verwörtlich dulden, sondern ihn auch als Grenzen implantieren.
Deep time of body.
Was juckt dich, blaues Tier S?
Delving,
Was verzagt ohne dich?
The shape of time
Durch die
leaves
Blätter
space for
geflogen in
premonition,
Traumdimension.
not left to the
Fühl
arrow.
dich nicht unter der Decke.
In flesh,
Du bist aus einer Grotte
Mud.
gebrochene Absurdität.
cracking branches,
Leichen nehmen
hard-working
Leichnam
beetle,
Anbau.
Diagnosen im Konjunktiv
Heiterkeit
Glowing
drückt
water
auf den
bodies,
Erdenboden.
während ich da
Gleisdruck lässt keine
es
Luft
klappt
zu
nicht
flanieren.
anders,
The
nicht in
raccoon,
diesem Zusammenhang
permeable
Tränen lassen.
wounds,
Vom Anblick eingebunden,
Endlich alte
trotz
Tränen
alledem,
lasse, die
worauf
verschüttet
Verstreuung
waren
folgt,
für diesen
den Balk
Klärungsversuch.
schütteln und befrieden.
where
Wir
are her
reservieren
hands?
Klebt er
eine
fest,
Ahnung von Zeit,
plättet
ohne
sich,
vor-
They
und
speak.
rückwärts.
zischende Pelle,
Surfacing interconnections,
deine Iris, Skepsis, Ritzen, Kopfschmuck, durchdringt der blauen S
Try her.
Laserschwert.
Weise Bäume.
Es und du
Die
There.
eingedrückte
verschmelzen
Luft
zu
entweicht
Halmen,
über die Haut.
die
Meine
duften,
Beine
wenn sie
kribbeln
krähen.
wie Ameisentunnel. An Schlaf ist nicht zu denken.
Just
Ich
a
laufe,
voice.
stampfe auf, reibe mich an Stellen
Another.
wie ein
Weißt
Frischling,
du, was geschieht,
kratze die
wenn du
Schenkel
No
den Zauber
frog feet.
aufsagst?
No
In deine
superpowers.
Poren werden Federspitzen schlagen,
Just
das
sentences.
Blüht.
Sound.
Drumherum
Meshed up in
blenden
reality.
Sonden bis zur Ohnmacht.
Morning.
Lila, Karpfenduft,
This dream.
bucklig noch immer dein Rücken
Plains
vor dem
of
Bildschirm.
vision.
Schuss,
Deep time of
nein,
birth.
kein Schuss. Das
Deep
ist die
time of
Revolte,
body.
die Neuerung. Sie verdient
Delving.
ihren Namen.
Morphing.
Winselt, kullert, aus
The shape of
Liebe,
time is
Geläuter
space for
und
premonitions.
Weise, Andromeda,
Not left to the arrow.
gibt Esskörnchen über uns alle,
Fleisch.
dann Hammelruß, zu
Mud.
angemessener Zeit.
Cracking branches. Hard working beetles. Flowing water body.
Das Rübenbeet malträtiert unrettbar die frühe Erfahrung, obwohl sie versucht mit der Sprösslingsgestalt, Säften und Kapillaren, zuletzt der verzärtelten Haut.
Where are her hands?
Um mich ist es ruhig.
They spin
Ausschau, Witz kam abhanden.
surfacing
Und schon wehen Flaggen
interconnections.
von Ninive, verbringen Dohlen die Nacht hier, seufzen sie auf
Try
den
her.
Säulen, die Eulen versunken in Beute und Rasen traktieren die Schwelle. Ein Schnabelarrangement, schwere Krallen, auf Planen
boy.
sprießen Routinen, verstrickt wie die
Another.
Atome sind. Doch
No
immer
frog
auch
feet.
in Distanz,
No
in Endlose
superpowers.
gestuft. Hüpfe ich
Just
oder hänge ich
sentences.
an?
Sound. Meshed
oder
up in
Gewalt?
reality. Morning.
sondern ihn auch als Grenze
This
implantieren.
dream.
Gestrüpp, Müll,
Plains
ein
of
rabenschwarzes Wappen.
Etwa weil maligne Knoten
Deep
darin
time of
aufwachen,
birth.
Gedüngtes ihn
Deep
vergiftet.
time of
Wie
body.
wächst das
Chirurgien mir
Nussfleisch?
die Bauchhöhle auf
Delving.
Röhren durch
Aber sie
Morphing.
öffnen nicht.
Schnitte einführen,
Lutz
The shape of
Offene,
time is
einvernehmlich,
space for
Holzscheiben
premonitions.
schießen schräg aus
Not
den
left to
Pausen.
the arrow.
zunähen.
Abwärts,
flesh.
geschwind,
Diagnosen
als
im
Bedingung
Konjunktiv
für
Mud.
vor meinem
Saumseligkeit.
Krankenbett abschieben,
Cracking branches.
während ich da liege
My friend across the Atlantic Ocean, digital hedge witch Megan Trainor, has a speculative theory about witches and why they were prosecuted and massacred in such an extent that it's fair to call it a genocide. Trainor speculates that some witches were close to discovering electricity, or more accurately, to tame the sacred and natural power of electricity, hence posing a threat to the growing male-dominated science in its early stages. However fabulative this might sound, it's not that far from what actually might have happened. The people accused of being witches were, among others, what you can call early pharmacologists. They knew about the effects and power of medicinal plants, and they had refined their healing skills through centuries of trial and error. At the time, they were practicing the most scientific and evidence-based medicine there was. The alternative? The church could offer penance and prayers in case of illness. The other alternative? The early doctors of the time were into bloodletting and other non-scientific procedures. Witches, or healers of the time, on the other hand, knew what they were doing. No church or medical quacks could match their skills. Maybe that's why they were hunted. We make ourselves believe that everything develops and gets better, that we as humans become smarter, learn more about life and love than they did thousands of years ago. That is the linear way of understanding time, as if progression is the only option. But new archaeological finds throughout the world show us that humans knew how to dye fabrics in complicated reduction-oxidation processes thousands of years ago. Some of these finds have forced archaeologists to reformulate their earlier theories that complicated civilizations could not emerge in tropical regions. Are we really supposed to accept the claim that through thousands and thousands of years of human history, only white men in Europe, and only through the last few centuries of human existence, have been able to create science and valuable thinking? I'd rather go with Megan Trainor's speculations. You will find me in the Garden of Eden if you want me, unless it's pouring down with fire. You will find me in the Garden of